Okay, so welcome everybody to Vantage Point Conversations, where I have the privilege 2 times a week, 3 times a week to interview very interesting guests, sort of pique my own curiosity, delve into subjects that I either know nothing about or I know a little bit about, and I can maybe add my perspective. And today's guest is Dr. Matthew Hood. So I'm going to call you Matt, as I asked if that was okay previously. So my opening monologue pretty much remains the same. I don't introduce my guests purely because I think I would do a very bad job. And so I'd just like you to introduce yourself, who you are, anything you think is interesting to know about yourself, maybe highlights, lowlights. Take as long or as little time as you like, and then we'll jump into our conversation.
Hey, thanks for having me, Colin. Again, my name's Dr. Matthew Hood, human performance mindfulness specialist. I'm the owner of Mindful Performance Consulting here in Columbus, Mississippi. Also CEO of a nonprofit, the Tactical Performance Psychology Group. Love sports psychology, performance psychology. Work with athletes, leaders, coaches. Tactical population is my specialty. Really helping them understand the system as a whole in order to make better decisions, stay composed under pressure.
Amazing. So before we dive in, so like all my conversations, we have this pre-conversation to talk about doing a live and talking about topics. And I was thinking about our last interaction, and something that I took. Well, there was two things that I took away. Is your very calm voice. You have this very nice, soothing way to just go, oh, and I was like, oh yeah, just you seem to be able to slow me down. And I'm not necessarily like a fast thinker or talker, but when I spoke to you, it's like, oh, calm, and I was like, oh, and then I was wondering, with your job, it is about seeing things that maybe other people don't see.
Mhm.
It's looking at a different perspective, and you know, we'll talk about performance in a second. But if you just look at that, people go, oh, okay, I'm just any sport. Okay, I've got to get here, do this, etc. Go, but it's beyond that. It's looking at almost like the wider vision of things, looking at
Mhm.
things that not just physical, but like the mental side of things, like what's actually going on, not just which is more of the bigger picture rather than just sort of 50% of what you see. Okay, you've grabbed the ball and you've run, but it's more than that. Is that how you got into it? Do you see things that other people don't? It was just of curiosity more than anything else.
I think I've always been in tune with the person in front of me, even growing up. My mom had epilepsy, and I was 8, 9 years old, trying to basically keep her alive by making sure she took her medication on time, all while still watching her have a seizure. It
Mm.
pressure comes everywhere, you know, but the calmness, the observant. I'm a people person. As much as I'm introverted, I'm a people person. I serve people. So I need to
Mm.
be observant of the whole person, not just one thing. So being calm is a part of how I go about things. Yeah, I will get my energy up when needed, but conversations, it's trying to get them to be welcome into my space. I want to be welcomed into their space. And once that connection is made, that's where the magic happens. And it's transfer of energy is a real thing. And
Yeah.
if I have someone that is chaotic, if I can regulate myself and not feed into their energy, sometimes their energy drops just by the person's energy around them. So
Yeah.
that's I it's a whole person for me. And
Mm.
if I'm chaotic, the likelihood they become chaotic is higher, right? So
Yeah.
I try
And
and
so,
stay calm.
are you calm throughout your day? Like, how is it for you? Are you always this way, or are there things that sort of trigger you,
No,
or how does it work, man?
no, that would be boring. That would be boring. I mean, we before we got on here, we were talking. My house was chaos this morning. Like
Yeah.
it. it trying to get children ready for school, make lunches, get, you know, me and my wife share space because she works remote. I have my private practice, like organizing who's going to be where. Energy does need to come up, but we shouldn't shy away from stress and pressure. We should learn to regulate the system in the moment. That way we can stay composed and still make clear decisions, right? When my son jacked up my youngest today for standing in front of his door, I could have easily freaked out.
Mm.
But what would that have done? It would have
Yeah,
caused more chaos. And it's simple. Hey, bud, next time just shut your door or
yeah.
get me your mom. Simple as that.
It's actually a very interesting topic. I'm going to put myself in this equation because so I've become better at it, but I'm very bad at multitasking. And as a divorced parent, I have two young girls and I look after them 50% of the time. And certain stages when I'm actually tired, maybe towards the end of the day, and then kids being kids, they think that they're the center of the universe, and absolutely that's the way it should be. I'm not saying that should
Mhm.
change. So they'll be standing next to each other and they'll go, "Oh, Papa, Papa, Papa," and then you go, "Right, okay, I'll answer that," and then the other one's like, "Papa, Papa," and they're sort of vying for attention.
Mhm.
And that's not just one time, and it's done. It's like, okay, yeah, but I've got to be cooking the dinner. I've got to be doing this. I've got to be doing
Mhm.
that. My brain's half thinking, oh, did I send that message for my work or whatever?
Mhm.
And I found myself probably a good 6 months ago, um, sort of losing my rag, sort of shouting. And then I enter into this stage of guilt of like, oh, geez, what have I done? And they're just being kids, that they're not doing anything wrong. And it's just my way to react. And then I disliked the way that I was showing up as a dad. It wasn't all
Mhm.
the time, it was just these things. And I realized actually from a mental perspective, what most of the time what was happening is I was having a negative thought. Let's just say something wasn't quite working in my business, or I hadn't done something, and I was beating myself up. Then what happened is that almost existed in the back of my brain. And then I would
Mhm.
look in front of me and the kids are just doing something. Maybe they're eating, but they're not eating quite, maybe with a knife and fork, they're picking it up with their fingers or something. Then what would happen? It would shoot to the front of my brain. I'd see that, and then I'd almost take that negativity from the back of my brain, and I'd see that scenario, and then I would shout at them.
Mhm.
Under another circumstance, they could be doing that. If I hadn't had that negative part of me, thought in my brain, I wouldn't have shouted. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's actually me. It's not them. It has nothing to do with them.
Mhm.
And so a couple of things that I realized from that was, one, if I'm tired, go and take a rest. Kids can watch TV for 15 minutes. You don't need, to have like a 10-hour sleep. You can have a 10-minute nap, or just close your eyes, just decompress for a moment. Also, the thing that was bothering me often actually isn't that big, but I've made it a big thing. Try and just let that go. And it doesn't always work. Don't get me wrong. We're not supposed
Mhm.
to be perfect. I'm not trying to be perfect. But I found that it created almost enough pause in me that I could react differently. And
Mhm.
then that changes so much in front of me. I don't then have to apologize. One's not crying. I haven't got to chase them around the house and go, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah." But it started with me, and it was my headspace that I was
Mhm.
in. So let's turn that towards performance on the field. That must be all the time, because I think in sports, performance, whatever, there's so much going on, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, because you teach soccer and other sports as well, or is it just soccer? I can't remember.
I coached soccer for 12 years, I think. I'd have to go
Yeah,
back to my profile and look, but coached my daughter growing up and coached high school, and, it was a great time. But yes,
yeah.
absolutely. When you start getting into competition training, even in training, the pressure to succeed, the pressure to be perfect, the pressure to be, your best, even your best is immense.
Mm,
It's learning, like what you said, it's it's human, and I do believe composure can be trained. You can train composure, and it needs to be trained for in the moment, because that's the moment is the most important piece, right? You said when you could feel the energy coming to the front.
Mm.
Absolutely, right? We have to have the awareness to understand that. When you're in competition, you have to have the awareness. One of the things that I try and train the individual in front of me or the group is understanding three pillars: mind, body, and mission. And what stress and pressure does, if we don't have alignment in those three pillars, or what I call the system, it's going to rip them all apart. And that's when you're going to start struggling. That's when you're going to be able, that's when you start lashing out. That's when you give up. That's when you start to cave or crack under pressure. When we can find ways to align those three pillars, realign the system, we find we find calm, we find composure to make clear decisions. So when I'm working with a coach, I want to see stress. I want to see pressure. I would have a conversation with my colleagues all the time. I selfishly want to see the athletes fail,
Mm.
because that gives me an idea of how they're responding. What can I inject? What can I instruct next? Because at the end of the day, it's about aligning the system, aligning the mind and the body and the mission, because the mission, the priority of the moment, is the most important, right?
Okay.
As simple as cooking dinner and then chatter here from children. I can't let the food burn,
Mm.
but what can I do to slow the cook so I can redirect, right? You can't pay attention to multiple things at once. So now learning how to regulate your system, align your system that way. Okay, maybe I just move the skillet off the heat, turn off the stove, look at this child, help this child, look at this child, right? It, and then go back to cooking. So
Yeah.
yes, it is challenging. Life is challenging, and it's about staying composed under pressure.
And so, but how is because it's interesting because some of the techniques that I've used. So I do breath work. I try and do
Mhm,
that just for my nervous system. It makes it sound like I'm anxious all the time, and I'm not. But I really find that that helps. to do a practice pretty much every day if I can for about 20 minutes. I like to do meditation as well.
mhm.
Um, they're all great things, but generally you found yourself a nice quiet spot. There's not a lot going on. I don't really meditate when the kids are around because they'd interrupt me. When you're performing or you're doing something, how do you find that quiet moment? How do you find that when all of this stuff is going on? What is there a technique? Is it in the mind or is it awareness? What does that start with?
You have to train it.
Okay.
What people don't understand is they put a lot of emphasis on the physical. They put a lot of emphasis on nutrition. They put a lot of emphasis on not getting injured, but very little emphasis on the mind. And the mind is, I don't like to say one domain is more important than the other, right? Because nutrition could say, well, the mind doesn't work if it's not fueled right, right? So I'm not playing this tug of war between the domains.
Mm.
Oftentimes people neglect the mind, and you have to train the mind the same way you fuel the body. The exercises you do every day, you have to fuel the mind, you have to train the mind. When we train the mind, and when I talk mind, when it comes to understanding where you need to put your attention, because that's what I want the mind to do. Put the attention, take my focus and put it where I want it to be. Then I want to regulate the system, right? Find the breath. The breath is probably, in my opinion, one of the most powerful tools you have because it can I don't wanna say immediately, but if you give yourself enough time, whether coming off the bench going in a game or coming off the field because you got subbed, you have an opportunity to regulate the system before the emotions come in play. It could be as simple as, a winger just hits a cross and just it didn't hit its mark. They have a split second to make a decision, cave under the pressure, cave under the poor performance of that cross, or I hit the cross, this is what happened, let me take a breath, reprioritize to the next step and go. If you train it, it can become automatic.
Yeah.
It can, and
Uh,
oftentimes we don't train that, and sometimes it takes 10 seconds.
oh, okay. Because
Oftentimes you don't get it's a fast-paced game, but
yeah, because I was thinking that as you were saying, oh, maybe you're on the bench and you going in, and then I don't know what happened. I started to get nervous, and I was like, oh yeah, when you're
Mhm,
nervous, your breathing, I would assume, goes out of rhythm, or it's heightened. You breathe harder, shorter. I'm not sure where it would go, but and I guess you have to be aware of that, all of these things in these moments. Okay, what is it? And I've always said that in my own world, awareness is like a superpower. It's people overlook it, but if you understand yourself, understand what's going on in your mind, in your body, or whatever's going on, for me, that's the first step to not changing it, but just understanding, and then you can put things in place. You can either remove it, you can add to it, you change it, whatever it is, but it has to start with that awareness.
mhm,
And I think some people say they're very aware, and I don't think they actually are. They might be, but not over their entire system. They just they kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but and I think that a lot of the value has come for me was being aware of the mind. I always say the monkey mind because it goes crazy and there's a load of stuff. And one of the things that's, I guess, not held me back, but it's almost self-talk or self-belief, and
mhm,
that's basically driven in my mind. This, we call it critic sometimes, and it beats yourself up. And like you just explained, you've just done a cross or whatever, and you've messed it up, and there's a load of people booing you, or you. I often find the worst critic is myself rather than anyone
mhm,
else about anything. And in that moment, you go, oh, okay. If you can just be kinder to yourself and just go, oh yeah, and because oftentimes that voice in our head is quiet, and so then when it gets a bit louder it still seems quiet, but it's actually shouting. You go, no, you
mhm,
piece of whatever. And it's just understanding, like, triggers, what things trigger you, etc.
mhm,
And I'd say in part of my life I've avoided doing things because I know it's going to be a trigger, and that ultimately doesn't solve the problem. It's just avoiding, and you just, so I go, I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I feel X or whatever.
mhm,
um, but actually I think in many ways you should try and do that in a controlled way, in a
mhm.
safe way, because then you learn more about yourself, and then you can go, oh, okay, this happens, this happens, this happens. Okay, can I change that environment or those things or my response, etc.
No, absolutely. Awareness is one of the first things that I teach an individual. And I say an individual because I don't work with just athletes. I work with everyday people, like awareness is foundational. If you don't have awareness, everything else doesn't matter. Because you're not going to know where your energy is. You're not going to know if you need to regulate. You're not going to know where to put your attention.
Yeah.
You're not going to know the priority of the moment. Without awareness, decision making and clarity becomes blurred. And we have to become aware of ourselves, right? A couple things that you said that kind of leaned into mindset.
Mm.
If we don't have awareness, we don't know what kind of mindset we're in. We don't know if we need to shift from a victim pessimist to a realist. You could be a realist and you're still screwing it up. Adversity, pressure, and stress are not going anywhere. We have to accept it. We have to live in the moment and work through it. Like you said, oftentimes, sometimes you find yourself avoiding. Yeah.
Mm.
It is hard and it's easy to avoid. If we are in the right mindset and we're curious about learning, we're truly curious, and we understand that stress will enhance our performance, you're going to see that as a challenge, not a threat. And oftentimes growth mindset, fixed mindset, that's why I don't like throwing those terms around.
Mm.
Because when I go to these conferences and I go to these workshops, nobody teaches you how to get out of a fixed mindset. They tell you what a growth mindset is, but they don't teach you how to get out of it. They just do it. Well,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I get told to just do things all the time.
Yeah.
It's awareness is foundational to the mindset. Awareness is foundational to regulating the mind. Awareness is foundational to regulating the body. Awareness is foundational to understanding what the priority is in the moment. That's why
Yeah.
when we talk mindfulness, a lot of people think mindfulness is just attention, putting my focus, my attention on what I need to focus on. Well,
Yeah.
you can't if you're not aware. So we have to layer in awareness as well, or you're not going to be able to put your attention where you want it to
Yeah.
be. So awareness is absolutely critical to regulating the system.
And is there any secret sauce? Is there any behind the scenes tips you could give the audience, like in terms of how you become a bit more aware?
Get comfortable being uncomfortable,
Okay.
because that's when your body is going. That's when your body is going to tell you, right? I have a slide deck, right, that teaches energy management. I call it Bob. When you get stressed, when you start to feel pressure, what does your body do?
Yeah, it tends to close
Oftentimes,
down.
you can close down, hands are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on your sweater from mom's spaghetti, right? Did we ever think that Eminem was a mindfulness teacher? Because
Yeah.
that whole song is about staying in the moment. All of those things that he was talking about in that song. Are you aware that your arms are getting heavy? Are you aware your knees are weak? Does your heart rate spike? Does your breathing get shallow and fast? Do you start to get shaky? All of those things that happen automatically is something your body is telling you that you're starting to feel pressure, you're starting to feel stress, and you have a moment to go, okay, what do I need to do? And oftentimes it's a breath. Sometimes it can be self-talk, right? Because now we're starting to layer in the mental skills. We start regulating with the breath. We get control of the physiological things happening in our body. Did we do it quick enough before the mind and our thoughts and our emotions come in and start telling us, hey, you're an idiot. Oh, you suck at this. Oh, and that's why I say you have to be aware, because
Yeah.
once the mind gets involved, now you have to start layering in more things. to counter and regulate the system, start aligning the system. So, becoming aware of self talk, becoming aware of how your body responds allows you to then connect with the moment, pick a skill, breathing, self talk. Do you need to do, if you're on the bench, can you visualize yourself playing in this match right now? If you're a combat sport, can you visualize yourself prior to your match building the energy, start getting the energy up for the match? And can you see yourself struggle but succeed? All of these things go into how we can realign the body, realign the system. So there's all kinds of things. At the end of the day, it's really truly become aware of how your body's responding, because once the mind gets involved, no telling what happened.
It's actually an interesting point. I was thinking because, like I told you before we went live, I've got two young girls, one's 7, one's 6, and what I realised actually, they're very aware of their bodies. Just something simple like going to the toilet. And I know that will sound maybe strange because we all kind of know that we need to go to the toilet or whatever, but they are very in tune. Like they're very so. My youngest can tell you that there's a grain of sand in her sock, like the tiniest grain. Like we've taken her sock off, she's been in the playground. There's a one grain of sand, and it's bothered her. And I'm like, wow. And I feel so. My question is to you because obviously you've worked with kids, but you also work with adults. My feeling is as we get older, we are almost told or having that awareness of ourselves, our body, etc. It's kind of with well, it's all not beaten out of us, but we're told to ignore ourselves, ignore how we're feeling, get on with stuff,
Mhm.
and I feel as adults it is a lot harder to get to that awareness than if you were speaking to like a kid. I, but then as I'm forming this question, I was thinking about it's not always easy to explain to my kids, okay, can you explain what that is? Like they'll just say, oh, I've got a feeling, whereas an adult may be able to express it a
Mhm.
bit more clearly. A child might just say, "Oh, something's wrong." And that, I gave the example of the sand in the sock, but is that your experience? Do you see the same thing? Like when you've coached for soccer, but then obviously you work with a lot of athletes, etc., that are older. Is the age a thing, or is that just in my imagination?
Parents are a thing. Beyond parents are a thing. If we have children that are curious, that are aware of one grain of sand in their sock and it's bothering them, depending on the moment, we can teach them how to respond to it.
Mm,
Because without saying, get on with it, push through the pressure, push through it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just go. You can teach them how to handle it, right? If me and my boys are out in the trail hiking, and one of the like we were out in Colorado in the mountains, went on a hike with one of my boys before the rest of the family showed up. Almost to the end, and he falls and busts his knee, bleeding. I don't have anything to I absolutely rub dirt on it because I didn't have anything to fix it. I didn't have anything to wrap it up. Hey buddy, can you walk? Can you get through this?
mm,
Dad, I can't. Now I have a choice. I can pick his butt up and carry him the rest of the way, or I can tell him, "Hey, push through this." Are we teaching the right thing? Are we
mm,
helping the curiosity? Are we helping them get through the pressure? Are we connecting with them? That's parents are the key to a child's awareness, a child's body, right? If the parent can connect and help the child understand without, say, giving them the answers, without doing it for them, we allow them to understand that adversity is going to be there. Growing up, parents are the biggest curiosity killer.
Yeah.
Parents are the biggest adversity helper. So kids do need to struggle, but we don't want them to struggle to where they are just in complete chaos all the time. We can teach still while still helping in the moment. And that's like it. Parents are the best or the worst.
Yeah.
And you have some in between. But from my experience, parents crush kids. And it's oftentimes just get on with it. It is get on with it if the moment is for that.
Yeah.
I could have
So,
absolutely told my son to keep walking.
yeah.
No,
Yes.
hell no, because then I'm dragging his ass, dragging his ass the rest of the hikes. Get on my shoulders, let's go. I'm going to take the struggle now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange because in those moments it's yeah, it's just simple things, and again, there's other things going on, or maybe you're going to be late to meet the rest of your family, or whatever. There's other things, and I think again, if you can stop yourself in that moment and go, okay, what is the more important lesson? And sometimes we go, you try and do things for kids, and like you said, you take the lesson away from the child often, and you teach them not to do that. And the word curiosity popped up again in my head because I think with all of this, if you were to, if I if I was to give any advice, and I don't like to give advice anymore because everyone's different and they're all in different situations, but it's about being a parent. I'd just say be curious because they're going to react, they're going to teach you. But if you can just go, oh, I'm curious, in every situation, it actually makes it more fun. There's a lot of teachings and learnings for yourself and, as well as your child. And I think I always said this when I first had children, I thought it was going to be a case of, oh, I'm going to tell them what to do and they're going to do it. And I was quickly,
I wish.
yeah, quickly learned my lesson on that one. And then something, it was really around sort of feeding, and I was like, oh, I wanted the kids to eat well or with their fork or something. And then I realized actually they were a big mirror of my behavior. So let's just give an example. I put some chips on the table, like French fries, and I would pick one up with my fingers. And it's almost unconscious behavior that you do that. And then you see your kids picking it up, but you don't think about your actions, you think about their actions, and that's what you're seeing. And I was like, and then I would have a go at them. And then again, it comes back to awareness. I realized I was actually doing that behavior, but I just done it so automatically, I didn't even realize. And they're just copying my behavior. And ever since then, I was like, oh, okay, if I want my kids to learn this, then I need to change my behavior. And then the awareness came about myself. And sometimes we struggle to change ourselves, but we want the best for our kids. It's easier just to go, yeah, no, I want this for them. And I found that it's actually a very good way of being, and just saying, if I want my kids to be a certain way, I need to show up in the same way that I want them to be. And that actually helps me, and it will help them. Not in that immediate moment. You won't see the results. We seem to want immediate results for everything, but longer term, they will mirror or mimic, And one of the things I would love my kids to come away with. It's not beating themselves up. Be kind to themselves. Yeah, you know, learn and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But no, nothing's perfect. No one's perfect. You know, don't go out and do things to harm other people intentionally. You know, life happens, like you say.
Mhm.
But if you can be kinder to yourself, if it starts there, because I think that voice in our head runs a lot of things,
Mhm.
um, you're going to be a bit calmer. And like you say, in those moments when pressure comes, you know, whether it's in sport, in work, or anything, you know, in a crisis or whatever, if you're a bit calmer, I feel that if you're kinder to yourself, that calmness will get there easier. And
Mhm.
I don't know if I say that, you agree with that?
No, absolutely. It's super easy to be compassionate towards others.
Yeah.
Super easy. Sun falls down. Oh, buddy, are you okay? Are you all right? Oh no, Dad, my knee hurts. Okay, let's rub some dirt on it. Then my thoughts come in. He wanted to be carried a quarter mile ago. His legs were getting tired. Hey, bud, we can just keep going. Let's keep going. We're almost done. You got it. I know you can. We can do this. Well, what if I would have carried him a quarter mile ago? Would he have got hurt? I start beating myself up.
Mhm.
Did I cause his injury? Because I didn't want to carry him longer? Right? And I made the decision. Hey, bud, we can
Mm.
get through this. I was still being supportive, still being that supportive parent. Like, hey, bud, you got this. I know your legs are strong. We can do this. He still got hurt. I beat myself up. Self compassion is hard.
Mm.
It's hard because the first thing that comes into play is your thoughts. Being humble, being mindful, understanding that in that moment he got hurt. What is the most important thing right now? Connecting with him. Everybody walking by, hey bud, are you okay? It's okay. You got this. Your dad's here. Let's go. Let's go. Tell me what you see up there now. Is it different? Because I can only see so much down here. Not distracting him from his pain, because trust me, it didn't help. But getting him to see it from a different view now.
Mm.
Self compassion is hard. But
Yeah.
yes, when we can enter in that self compassion and we can get calm, we can get composed under the pressure, we can make clear decisions. Yeah, I beat myself up for a split second. And then it's okay, that's not healthy. What do I need to do next? Coming off the bench, going onto the bench, that's that's the hardest moment for an athlete.
Yeah.
Coming off the bench or going to the bench. Did I get pulled because I wasn't playing well? Oh man, someone's getting pulled off the field and I'm taking their place. Do I understand why they got pulled off so I can do it differently? So many thoughts and things happen in that moment. And it's stress and pressure ripping it apart, ripping the system to pieces. And it's an opportunity to connect, realign, and go play your game. Just go play your game. Enjoy the moment. Have fun. Have fun.
Yeah. It's I can't remember. It's years ago. Someone told me like how many thoughts you can have a minute is something crazy. It's
I
just
don't
nuts.
yeah, I don't know about a minute, but I do know in a day you have like upwards of 60 to 70,000 thoughts or whatever,
Yeah.
something like that.
And it's just like, man. So you know, if it takes, you know, that long to get out to the pitch, you could have, you know, you your mind's telling you all this story that, you know, that can feel like the longest mile, right? Just to
Mm-hmm.
walk out there. And
You're
so
10 feet from the from the
yeah,
sideline.
exactly. And you've had this whole story, you've almost
Yep.
watched a whole movie in your head by the time you've got there. And it's like, and you know, I, I realized that we often think about our physicality taking energy, but for me, the mental space takes almost as much energy, and we don't really, because we see, like, we move our arms and legs and stuff like that, and we say, oh well, that takes energy, that takes effort, and that's quite draining. But we never see it in our minds. Like, we don't say, oh yeah, the brain's working, that's sucking the energy. You might go, oh, I'm a bit tired, but you don't go, oh yeah, I've worked my brain a bit. But I've often felt when I'm very concentrated, like afterwards, I need a break. I need a moment, you know, just to go and recharge, to distract myself, go and think about something else. I don't need a long time, but I can feel very drained quite quickly. I could work out for an hour, or I could use my brain for an hour, if it, you know, in different sort of slightly different intensities.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we don't really attribute too much about the brain. It's just more of moving the body, right?
Right. No, I give you another example. I had a Siberian Husky, ball of energy, run for days. Absolutely needed to be trained. Never owned one. Brought in the trainer. You know what the trainer said? You're going to mentally tire this dog out before you're going to physically tire this dog out. The quicker you mentally tire this dog out, the shorter your walk will be.
Wow.
You don't walk for days. They sled the Adirondack for days at a time, hours at a time, because that's what they're bred to do.
Yeah.
We have to train the mind, because the mind is what's going to keep you going when your body is drained, especially if you're in moments where you can't leave. And that's where the tactical population have to thrive in. Police officers, firefighters, military members, they have to stay in it until it's done. A firefighter cannot leave the building unless she absolutely has to, for their own safety. They're staying in it until they absolutely have to get out. And they can be physically drained. The mind is what's going to keep them going. And you have to train that. The mind will quickly tell you, you need to get out. And you just entered the building. It ain't your gut, it's your mind. Your gut's telling you to keep going. Your mind is going, no, this isn't safe. Get out. No, don't go across that berm because the enemy's on the other side. Yeah, no shit. But it's time. Your mind is going to tell you to stop. But your mind's also going to get you to go further if you train it. And too many people do not train their mind. And again, pressure, stress, and adversity are not leaving. Your body will physically get you somewhere. Your mind can take over and continue to take your body along with it if we are aligned. If the priority is to get the person out of the burning building, connect the mind, connect the body with that priority, and go do it until you have to get out, with or without the person. That is their mindset.
Yeah. I guess that comes back to mind body mission, right? Because
Absolutely.
I was thinking about so I have a very logical brain, but I've over the last couple of years I followed my intuition more than anything else, and that's quite, again, I think from a young age, you know, school, parenting, etc., kind of beats that out of you, not physically necessarily. Sometimes, yes, but not in my case. I didn't really listen to my body, and actually, my body knew a lot more answers than my mind. But as you were talking, I was thinking, oh, have I got that wrong? And I've actually found some of my best answers came from my body. So the reason I'm doing these lives is because it was frustration, but I leaned into something that felt really good, felt not thought. And
Mhm.
I was like, but then as you were talking, it was like, well, the mind, yeah, it can take you there, your body, and you said the alignment, and that was really important because I think where we struggle often is those two things are out of alignment,
Mhm.
and we don't really pay attention to that. Which, when they're out of alignment, that's like again another conflict that it's taking energy and it's doing something weird over here where
Mhm.
it's taking you away from the actual thing that you're supposed to be doing, which was your mission. And like you said, if you can align those two things, your brain's going to get you, your body's going to physically carry you, and it will find whatever resources it needs to do that. But the mission has to be clear what you're trying to get to, right?
No, absolutely, and it's not and it's aligning the 3. Aligning the 3 because while I say the mission, yeah, we can have the external, this is what I have to do. But you also have to take into account the internal, your values, your purpose. The mind and the body, the purpose of the individual is what truly aligns the system. If my purpose on this earth is to serve people, what does that look like? Am I doing that every day? Doesn't have to be all day because it's a lot of energy. But when I am serving someone, am I giving my full energy,
Mm.
my full attention? Am I aligning with my purpose? And am I still connected to the mission? In turn, my body is in line and my mind is aligned. Is the whole, all 3 pillars aligned? Because we also
Mm.
have to talk about the internal purpose of the individual is the mission as well. So, and that's something that it didn't talk about in the beginning, and I'm so glad you brought it up. Or you said align the 2. It's really align the 3 because it's a purpose of the individual as well, because that's their mission. And then the externals come in, the things I have to do is what we have to keep our attention on. But we can't forget about the internal purpose of the individual either.
And how do you understand what your internal purpose is? So you said yours is to serve people, but I think in my in my world, I think a lot of people aren't clear. I don't even know what my purpose is, to be honest. How do you get clarity on purpose?
Lots of reflection, lots of meditating,
Mm.
lots of understanding what brought you to this moment. If we go all the way back to me helping my mom take her medication, divorced family, 8 years old, standing and watching my mom have a grandma seizure in the middle of Walmart, having to go run and tell that person or that customer service to call 911 while my 7-year-old brother is keeping people away from my mom, and then me coming back and helping my mom. That's serving in the military, serving athletes, coaching athletes on and off the field, helping athletes as a sports psychology, performance psychology professional now. Sometimes it's just take a look back at your life
Mm.
and what is your purpose. Your purpose can change, but your core values often don't change. And that can drive your purpose.
Yeah. So values is one of those things that I've struggled with for a long time. I remember, so I got into journaling for a while, and I bought this. I can't remember. I think it was a 6 minute journal or something. As part of that, you had to define your values,
Mhm.
and they gave like a list of, I don't know, 30 values, and you could add your own. And
Mhm.
I think it was really interesting. I tried to do the exercise. It was like a series of, like, pick the ones that resonate, take the
Mhm.
top ones, and then between, I think there was a top five, and you had to compare, like, this value with this value, which one wins, and then you do it against all of the other values. And this
Mhm.
exercise took me 6 months to do, and it was really, I really struggled to do it. And what I realized is that I was very close to my family, and I internalized a lot of their values,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize which was mine. And so then when I was saying something, it logically seemed right for my brain, but internally it didn't feel right in my body, and I
Mhm.
couldn't understand. So it just felt off in some way, and it took me a long time. I still haven't mastered what those values are, and I think the priority can shift at
Mhm.
certain points. The one that keeps coming back is freedom, and I think that's why I do what I do.
Mhm.
And so that's the only one that I currently kind of sit with and I'm comfortable with. Um, but again, all these things, they take time to work out, and sometimes it's hard to do on your own. But if you're with someone who understands it, and oftentimes there may be shortcuts to doing these things, but you do have to do the work. You have to spend the
Mhm.
time. You have to ask yourself questions. You have to, and I think, like you gave the nice example of looking back, and I think sometimes looking back is actually, you can connect the dots, because in the moment sometimes it's difficult to see what's going on. But again, looking back allows you to do that zoom out and go, oh, okay,
Mhm.
well, this and this, oh, okay, there's a pattern. You can see that. You
Mhm.
go, right, why in this situation? And you go, oh, okay, and that reveals a lot of things, and I
Mhm.
think that really helps.
Oftentimes people are afraid to look back. Like,
Mm.
last night, I was writing my TEDx talk, and I had everything laid out, and now it's time to start putting in my story. What brought me to the possibility of being on the stage? What is my great idea worth spreading? And I was telling other people's stories. I reached out to a colleague and I said, "Hey, I'm really struggling with this." And she said, "Tell your story." Immediate response back was, "It hurts. It hurts." And I started to cry. Even today, I'm getting teary eyed now. As much as I struggled growing up, it has taught me and made me who I am today. My mom's no longer here. And I would hope she'd be proud of me. It's hard. Serving my Marines was hard. Losing my job twice was hard. And it's the opportunities to grow from each experience, the curiosity to grow from each experience is what makes us who we are afterwards. And if you're only glowing value right now is freedom, live it, live it. And then maybe some other ones start to surface
Mm.
because value clarity is hard. It You laid it out. You compared. Even if we have multiple values, there's going to be moments in your life where they are going to conflict,
Mm.
and you have a decision to make. And I give you an example. When I was working with a paratrooper, back when I was working with the Army, his values were his family and self-care, fitness. He needed to lose weight. His wife called him and said, "Hey, I need you to come home because I need help with the children." He said he had a great workout planned. Two values are now in confliction. Does he tell his wife no and goes works out? Or does he say, "Hey, I'm coming home. I'm going to help you with the family"? What do you think he chose?
Family, because it was first.
Absolutely. He went home and helped his wife. But then he was still calm and composed. Mission, purpose. He was able to go, I can't do my same workout, but I can do a workout. But now I can include my children. His daughter laid on his back while he was doing push-ups. He was doing sit-ups and giving high fives. It may not have been the workout he wanted to do, but he got to do both because he made a decision. And he said, I went home because I didn't want to disappoint my wife, because she is me. She is my other. Values are going to conflict.
Yeah.
And that's life. So if freedom is the only value you have right now, something is going to challenge it.
Yeah, for sure.
Period. And that's sometimes, again, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That way you can make a decision.
Yeah.
It's aligning the system, mind, body, and mission. And that's what I do when I try and help service members, athletes. Can we stay aligned? That way, when the pressure is there, you perform your best and you can make clear decisions. And then whatever happens, it is what it is. Now's your opportunity to grow from that experience.
Yeah. I just had the phrase in my head. We kind of bumble our way through life without really taking these ideas, and not concepts, I don't know if that's the right word, but I just think most of us sort of tumble through life and just let things react around us without really paying attention to any of those things, right? And that's quite if if we could learn this from an earlier age, and sort of as part of the education system, that would really probably really help decisions throughout life, etc. And we would, I don't like making the statement fail, because I don't, I think there's, I don't like succeed either. I think it's just about learning. There's no wrong turns. There's just decisions, and that's what it is. And I would hope that other people would see that, because especially in business, I see it as, you've got to succeed. This has got to work, and I think it stops people actually trying or experimenting or testing things out, because it's very binary: yes, no, pass, fail. And I think the world would be a better place if they were able to test something, because it softens those boundaries and allows you to go, oh, if it didn't work, then you can assess it. Well, often you say, oh, you failed, so it's like a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as you were talking, I was also thinking, I'm very conscious of the time, and maybe we'll just take maybe 10 minutes. But
Oh yeah, no, that's fine.
we've talked almost predominantly about the individual, but often, so yes, there are sports that are individual, but a lot of sports are team sports.
Mhm.
So when you think about values, say we're on the same team, my values could be different than your values,
Mhm.
etc. How do you align all that? How do you understand? How do I get to understand you and you understand me, that we work in not harmony? I don't know that harmony is the right word, but in a collaboration, that we go,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm going to bring this, you're going to bring this. This is who you are. This is. I almost know how you're going to show up without even seeing you. Does that make sense? That's
Mhm.
how do you bring that cohesion together?
Helping the leaders establish a culture for that to happen. Here in America, we have college athletes bouncing from team to team and team to team, and professional athletes team to team and team to team, to succeed, just to win a championship, just to get more money. This is great. Sure. Fine. Well, in my opinion, one of the most successful basketball coaches, they they kept their players all 4 years of college because the culture allowed them to thrive.
Mm,
We can look at some of the most successful um, football teams in England, right? What allowed them to thrive? The environment,
mm,
the organization from the top down took care of everybody underneath. That's
yeah,
what makes an organization successful. You take care of those that you serve. It's not about telling them what to do. And yes, there are times where you have to tell them what to do. But if you created the environment that when you say, hey, I need you to do this, they're going to be like, yes, let's go.
yeah.
Or are they going to be afraid to make a mistake because they're going to get their butt reamed?
Mm,
You know, at the end of the day, you want that type of cohesion. You have to establish it within the organization.
yeah.
And some of the best organizations establish that. And to
Yeah.
me, that's servant leadership.
Yeah, and so my world has not really been, well, it's not, it has not been athletics or sports or anything like that. Mine's
Mhm.
more been around the corporate world. But to be honest, there's no difference between that. When some of the best teams that I've ever worked in, sometimes you'd be doing a job that you don't love, but it was the people around you and the combination of those people and the sometimes you have to put in longer hours, sometimes you go, okay, I can't do this yet, you sort of pick up where someone else can't do,
Mhm.
and it felt that almost community, that connection between it, and that's some of the best times that I remember. And I think even in companies we don't do that. It's just about get results, get results, get results, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's okay to you know aim for things to improve and to get to like a destination. But if you're basically got a high turnover of staff, okay, like you're just a numbers game. You're just throwing numbers at it, and you
Mhm.
might win short term, but long term you actually lose. Because you want to be in business, you want a better reputation, you want your clients to be happy, and in order to do that, you have to get the things internally right. You can't satisfy
Mhm.
your customers, and people say, "I always put the customer first." I get that, but actually find that cohesion, build that culture, respect your people, understand them, understand what's going on, misalignments, and try and bring those together. Because once you've got that, it serves much greater. And yes, there's energy, there's effort, there's time, there's coaches like yourself that can come in and do that. And people go, oh well, it's not worth the investment. It absolutely is worth the investment. But
You
we we think short term too much. We should be thinking longer term.
you can. Like, you can. It's one of those things where, like, a company is gonna spend more money rehiring someone than taking care of the person that is about to leave.
Mm.
The person asking for a bonus, a salary increase, if they leave, it's going to cost you more money to rehire that person or to rehire someone in that position than just giving them the bonus.
Mm.
If you have the money to pay to rehire someone, then you had the money to give them that small salary increase.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to the culture. And we see it all the time here in government contracting here in the US, in particular with the DoD. It's a constant just turnover. It's a constant turnover. You're constantly rehiring and rehiring, when at the end of the day, you could have just given them that small pay increase and they would have shook up and worked.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a threshold to where you can't pay them anymore.
Yeah.
Then what does that look like? How are you then serving that individual?
Yeah.
And that is absolutely something that a lot of organizations need to learn. Yes, your bottom dollar matters. You have to get paid too. I have to get paid.
Mm.
But the day I get an employee is the day that I take less money, because I need them to thrive.
Yeah.
I want them to want to be here. I want them to work for me. No different than the nonprofit. I want all of the individuals involved in the nonprofit on the leadership level to want to stay, because of the culture that the 3 directors are creating. It's allowing them to thrive,
Yeah.
because that's what it's all about.
I think in that term of money, I also agree. Money is important. You can say it's not important. I disagree with that. I think we all need money to live and to do things, etc. But I also think there's a point where the money isn't the thing. It's about being seen and being heard and being valued. And if you can't pay in money, you can pay in other ways, if that makes sense. And sometimes we overcomplicate that. It doesn't need to be that difficult, but we just skip over it and we just think, okay, people are replaceable. Yeah, fine. Da, 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 da. And I think that's very sad. And I'd like that to change in companies. I think there's a big responsibility to owning a company and having employees.
Conversations have to happen. They have to take place. Feedback has to go both ways. It can't constantly be coming from the top down.
Yeah.
And then expect your people to want to stay. If you can't take feedback up, then what are you doing? Why are you there? Because you knew someone? Because you're buddies with someone? Because you're protecting the company? If something needs to change and someone on the ground is going, hey, this doesn't make sense, why are we doing this? And they take that feedback up the chain. If it's squashed, all you're doing is creating resentment down boots on the ground.
Yeah.
You're creating the environment to fail because people are becoming disgruntled. It may be one person. I'll admit it. There's times where both companies that I were let go from, I looked and was like, this doesn't make sense. Pushed it up, pushed back down.
Yeah.
You can only take so much.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at some point, they're just going to be like, hey, you got to go.
Yeah.
But that's a part of the process. Your best employees will eventually leave. If the culture, like you said, yes, money is important. Anybody that says money's not important is bullshit. Come talk to me, please. It is. It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a business can only go so high because they also have to pay the other bills, to pay the human resources. They have to pay the directors. Maybe the directors take a small pay cut, right? But that's asking too much. Where else are they being served? Communication has to go both ways. And that's a part of feeling heard. That doesn't mean the leader has to do it, but at least they listened. At least they listened. That can be just as important as money.
Yeah, exactly.
It can. But money in this day and age is vital to survival.
Yeah.
But the other little small things absolutely matter, and a lot of organizations just overlook that. They do, and it's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's part of the culture, right? So yeah.
It's society, right? So how can then we go even higher and correct that? I mean, I don't go into positions of power and try and change it, I guess. I don't know. I like what I do now.
Yeah, maybe that's our next conversation to try and solve that. But yeah, I think for today, amazing. You've really made me think about a lot of stuff. I love it when my guests open up my mind to thinking differently, and you've given me some stuff to think about, and even maybe to put into my own life. So I really appreciate that. My question to you was about the TEDx talk. give me the highlights. How's that come about? Because I spoke to someone about a TEDx before, and you have to submit your proposed speech or what you're speaking about, and that still doesn't guarantee you'll get through. Is that right? Is that
adapt 100%? Like, my application's ready. Start applying. I'm in the process of writing the script. You know, you can get on the stage and they can record you.
Oh, okay.
And then your recording gets reviewed.
Oh, man.
And you can still not get uploaded to the YouTube channel. Because maybe you swayed away from the script too much. Maybe you said something that, you know, they felt wasn't in line with the organizers, with the TED mission. And you spent all that time and you got recorded, and all of a sudden they're like, nope, ain't doing it. I don't know how often that happens.
Yeah.
But in the process, that is what has been told to me. So it's I am very excited for this journey in my life.
Yeah.
To get on, to stand on that red dot and share my idea worth spreading. And we talked a bit about it today.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm super pumped for it.
Yeah, I hope you get to do it. I hope that you get to go on the channel because you're very thoughtful. I think I don't come across too many people as thoughtful and seeing things from a different direction, especially when we kind of think the same way, and you have that nice way of bringing things out and looking at the bigger picture and seeing actually what's at play. So yeah, I hope you get to share that because I think the way that you see things is very important, and that can have a big impact on other people. So I've got a rough idea of what you'd be talking about, based on some of the things we talked about. But yeah, I think I hope it all works out for you, and I'll look out for you on YouTube. Well, you'll tell me beforehand. So, yeah, I hope you get that. But for today, a real pleasure. Thank you for taking the time. I hope your day gets a little bit easier. I know you've joined me early in your morning, but yeah, thank you very much for your time.
No, I appreciate you having me on. I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation. I certainly did. It was great. Anytime. Be happy to continue to have conversations. So I truly appreciate you having me on.
No, my pleasure. So if people were to find you, you talked about your foundation, but I found you on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Where's the best place for people to find you? Is it email, LinkedIn, website? Where should they go?
I mean, my website, www.mindfulperformanceconsulting.com. I believe that's also linked on my LinkedIn, Matthew Hood, EDD, CMPC. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Mindful Perform. So yeah, hey, reach out on LinkedIn and you'll get a response fairly quick. So long I can get there. But yeah, a lot of my information can be found either on my website or on LinkedIn.
Amazing. I mean, I repost these events anyway, and I'll copy you in and put all those links in there, and and people can reach out to you directly. But for today, thank you so much, and yeah, we'll stay in contact and do a round two.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Had a blast.
All right, man. Take care, Matt. Bye.
Thanks.